Alrighty, bros, here we go. We'll get started here and go from there. Hope you guys are having a good afternoon, hopefully. And if not, maybe the good Lord will bless you and your evening will be better. That's all we can ask for, my bros. Now, let's see here. Let's go ahead and grab this. When you think about this, we have, make sure I'm still on those operational deals here, these clan patrols. We're not, but we'll go back at it. But that's free XP, man. I mean, why not? Why not? That's how we can get it. Alright. Hopefully. What one's this one? I don't know what one this one is, dudes. In all honesty. Oh. Kinda know.
Stand by for action.
Oh, shot that bitch right in the bro hole, bruh.
Enemies advance until the main fleet forces arrive.
This is Base Commander. Good luck. Try not to lose a single ship and save our base structures from destruction.
Reconnaissance data suggests the principal attack will be launched in 10 minutes. If the outer radius of defense is broken, the attack will begin earlier.
Awaiting instructions.
This is Base Commander. Support ship approaching the second battery line.
stations, requesting fire on the designated target. I need support. Roger.
This is Space Commander. Support ship reach Battery 1, restoring the battery. Reconnaissance reporting. Second attack launched.
Attention, destroy all enemy forces before the principal attack is launched, and secure the carrier's retreat to the base.
Well, I think all in all we should be okay.
I need intelligence data.
I bet that's what your wife tells you all the time, huh?
Acknowledged.
Just a dummy.
All stations, concentrate fire on the target. Ship is on fire. Problem solved, sir.
Reconnaissance reporting. Third attack is about to be launched.
Enemy destroyer foundered.
Attention, reporting the target position. Torpedoes, astern.
This is Base Commander. All batteries restored successfully. Support ship returning to base.
Attention! Our defenses are overrun by the enemy. The principal attack is about to begin.
By thunder.
Reconnaissance reporting. Principal attack is underway.
Attention! A large enemy aircraft carrier entered the combat zone. Destroy her.
Come on, man. Damn.
Battle ends in 5 minutes. Enemy cruiser foundered.
Oh, what in the heck? Oh, that wasn't good. I just died. And we got defeated. Well. Oh, well, my camera ain't on. Huh. There it is. There we go. Well, Betty, I don't know. I mean, I thought we had that one in the bag. I really sucked. Well, I would have never understood how I died that easy. What you doing, beautiful? Oh, okay. I was wondering. Mm-mm. No, it wasn't that. I was just wondering what you's done. Just complimenting you on your morning beauty. Mwah. Ultimate Frontier. Okay, I remember this one. I'm going to go Johnny on the balls on this one. We're going to get out there, touch a few. Let's see here what we can find a gripe about. got here? Biden pardons corrupt judge, infuriates victim's family. Really? Who the hell is he pardoned now?
Get better than market return, completely automated.
I can believe he did it, though, in all honesty, you know. This is Joe Biden we're talking about, you know.
For millions of dollars in kickbacks.
Okay, here we go.
President Biden under scrutiny after commuting a former Pennsylvania judge who was convicted of funneling juveniles for millions of dollars in kickbacks. Her son, our next guest, was caught up in the so-called Kids for Cash scheme.
Oh.
And joins us right now, Sandy Ponzo.
Oh, I remember the Kid for Cash game. It's been a few years back, but basically, that judge was sending them to juvie, to private juvies that were getting paid to keep them. So they were making some big bucks out of them, out of those kids.
Pardoned this guy, commuted this guy's sentence. What did you do?
I was actually working, so I was driving, and my phone started blowing up. Everybody messaging me and calling me. I had no service for most of that day, so it kind of just hit me.
It wasn't good what they were doing. It truly wasn't. It was
defeat.
It was a cash scam that they was pulling on them kids. I mean, it really was.
And just
was some crap. It was really crappy what they pulled on them.
Upsetting and personal.
It is personal because your son, this guy sentenced your son to this private prison system. And the Washington Post has got an item today, and they describe what was going on. They write,
I mean, it was crappy what they were pulling.
Harshest possible
Very.
Young people who were first-time offenders and probably should have received a warning or community service would end up locked up. Some were younger than 13. What the judges did caused tremendous harm to thousands of young people and their families. One young man died by suicide. Many youth became depressed and dropped out of school. The one young man is your son, Eddie. Eddie?
It was crappy out of them, man. It truly was. They pulled some bad shit on them kids.
You know, he was a good kid. He was, a wrestler in high school. He had his whole life ahead of him. He did nothing more than any other kids at that age do. He was at an underage drinking party, and he got caught, and he went in front of this judge. He was placed in our local juvenile detention center, and he was there for approximately 1 month. And in that time, you know, I was speaking with all of them, and you know, it was to teach them a lesson, to get them back on track. And so when he came back in front of the judge, I had letters from teachers, from his wrestling coaches, of my son's character. He wanted nothing more to just get back home and back to his life, and that didn't happen. He was sent to this facility, and God knows what happened in that facility, because when my son did come out, it was 8 months at that time, I believe. He was not the same person. He was pent up with anger and bitter for all the wrong.
Well, I'd say he was, to be honest. I'd say he had a lot of anger and frustration up in him.
He didn't want to look you in the eye. I don't know, and I can't.
He's got molested in it, I'd say, what it sounded like.
But he never recovered from it. We were fighting this, and
Now, who would you blame it on, the parents or the court systems?
And nobody could say anything. Nobody could step up. I mean, there was a judge, Ann Lakuta, in our courthouse, and when she tried to step up, she was ousted. She was thrown out. everybody was afraid. You know, these judges just had power, and when they shut down that local, our community detention center, against, you know, all the recommendations of our city board members, they built their own for-profit juvenile detention center, and this Conahan was president judge. And when that happened, he appointed Chivarella as the juvenile judge, and these kids were just funneled in and to keep these beds filled. And this went on for years, and until, you know, the money was seen, that's when the feds finally stepped in and all this, you know, came out.
This is heavy. It's warm. Loads of pockets. I'm impressed with it. This is the bearskin tactical hoodie.
Thousands of men around the world already love wearing the bearskin hoodie instead
The
of regular
bearskin.
hoodies. Why? Because sure, your average hoodie provides decent insulation.
Sandy, it sounds like your son should have gotten a warning or community service, but instead wound up going through the system and wound up committing suicide. You blame the judges for your child's death.
He ruined my son's life, my life, multiple lives. There's so many kids that have lost their life, not just my son. You know, one of the boys that was 8, Charlie, that's actually in the documentary with us and went around and spoke out about this. He has lost his life since. There's so many kids that are still struggling. I've helped kids get out that got wrapped up in the system that we're in. Yeah, it's
inexplicable. Sandy, what is your message to Joe Biden, who commuted your judge's sentence?
Joe Biden came here and campaigned multiple times.
Crap.
He was, you know, Joe Scranton. He was one of us.
Joe Scranton.
He knew of our struggles, and he cared about our community and our kids and our families.
Yeah.
And that is just absolutely not true. He is not one of us. We have an expressway named after him. I have to drive down and look at it every day, the President Biden Expressway and the Biden Street.
Yeah.
That's what I want done. I mean, there needs to be reform of,
Well, you want to take the signs down, lady?
of how these applicants are chosen for these pardons, and what I want to see is his name removed.
But he's ended up in a world of shit over pardoning people, hasn't he?
On top of all of the grief.
Started with his son and just keeps piling them on, don't
All
it?
the constant pain that you live with as Eddie's mother. Sandy, I know this was hard for you to tell your story, but we appreciate you coming on today.
I know it goes out for you, lady. I mean, really does. But at the end of the day, you liberals voted for him.
You had a great interview, a sad story, but this is so powerful. This woman was telling us, I'll let you set it up because you talked to her, but her story is something everybody can relate to. So many people in high school go to a party and the cops come and they bust you.
I mean, liberals did vote for him, bro.
Her son, Eddie. Eddie was sentenced to a prison term by a judge in Pennsylvania for what Ainsley was just talking about. You know, this is a kid who probably should have gotten a warning or community service, but instead he wound up with essentially jail time. And he wound up, after that time in jail, he came out a different person, as his mother just told us. And he wound up committing suicide. The Washington Post has got a headline, and this is the news peg here. Joe Biden gave the Kids for Cash judge clemency. That's how broken the process is. And they go on to say, to maximize the payout, they often gave kids the harshest possible sentence. Young people who were first...
Give him clemency. Well, fuck, he went a step beyond and pardoned him.
Locked up. Some were younger than 13.
Erased his record.
The judges did cause tremendous...
That means he could be a judge again.
And their families. One man died by suicide. Many youth became depressed and dropped out of high school. The young man is the son of Sandy Fonzo, who joined us in the last hour.
I was filled with every kind of emotion. Defeat. Now that I've had more time to process it, it's more of anger and just a whole. It's just
Very sad,
very
man.
deeply
Very, very sad.
upsetting and personal. My son's life, my life, multiple lives. There's so many kids that have lost their life, not just my son. Joe Biden came here and campaigned multiple times that he was, Joe Scranton, he was one of us. He knew of our struggles and he cared about our community and our kids and our families.
Hey, Joe Scranton, all right.
Absolutely not true. He is not one of us. I mean, there needs to be reform of how the overseeing of how these applicants are chosen for these pardons.
So this particular judge wound up sentenced to 17 and a half years for essentially getting kickbacks. And I saw
well, it wasn't that long ago that happened.
He made $2 million in kickbacks. So Joe Biden granted him clemency. Remember last week when you told you about how he had granted 1,500 acts of clemency and pardons? That's the guy. That is the guy with Sandy.
That's one of the guys.
Person responsible for her son's death.
Not just the guy, one of the guys. Because he has 1,500 more he had dead.
In the juvenile justice system. And the judge that I was assigned to would often give second chances to these kids, but she was a tough judge. And she was tough because she used to be a school teacher. And she wanted to give them a way out. And when I first read about the story, I said, what would Judge Gilbert say about this? She would probably say this guy deserves to be behind bars for the rest of his life because of what he did through the judicial system. It's such a responsibility. It requires honor and integrity. And the fact that he profited off of a criminal justice system, I think, is disgraceful. And to further this, when he
I agree with you, man.
Punishment, to have the President of the United States release him, I think is just terrible. And this young man committed suicide as a result of this judge's action.
Yeah, there are consequences for your sins. And what that man did was rob this mother of having Christmas with her son year after year, of him being able to grow up and get married and have children of his own one day. He was caught at a party where there was alcohol, and the judge put him in one of these facilities. It's a for-profit facility. So if he fills up the beds, then that facility is giving him kickbacks, I assume is how it was working. The guy and his co-conspirator were made up to $2.8 million. And the other guy is still behind bars, but this judge is out. So he gets all this money, and now these kids, I mean, how long did his mom say he was in that facility? 8 months, and he finally got out. And she said when he got out, he couldn't look her in the eye. He refused to go and speak with a counselor. She said, no telling what happened to my son when he was in this facility. He was a changed man. He was never the same. And all because he was at a party where there was alcohol. That definitely should have been community service.
Well, I wonder if Joe Biden actually looked at the list of the people.
Changed man, he was a child, man.
Pennsylvania, I should look into it. Oh, he's a judge. Oh, he did that?
He met the criteria, is what they said.
Right, they said the sentence, he demonstrated remorse and rehabilitation.
It's not about him being rehabilitated, though. It's about the harm that he has caused our justice system. And this is why you need a president of the United States that is aware, that knows what's going on. You can't have a staff, running the White House, and just having this criteria. But so all of these offenders are connected to real people, and they all have stories to tell. Part of my job when I worked in juvenile was to assist with these, what we call divergent programs, to place these kids
that's sad,
to
man.
improve their lives.
It really is. That's heartbreaking.
I know these were good people, but
it's sad enough he did him like he did in the judicial system.
Getting a kickback over a program that is
punished him like should have been. Well, probably didn't get half as much as he should have got.
I just got to be honest that the sentence was a divergent program.
And then Biden
being at a party
community sentence on that.
Never had a judge that assigned someone to a divergent program based on going to a party.
Right.
Now, maybe if they were drinking or something like that, they would assign them to a drug abuse program or anything. But attending a party,
very sad, man.
God,
very
that
sad.
should have been a red flag to begin with.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden has released this guy.
Usually it's, okay, you got caught, doing that next Saturday. You're going to go out and you're going to pick up trash for 5 hours. Or if it's not a community service, it's like, okay, keep your nose clean for the next 6 months, and it goes away. But not that. Unbelievable indeed. All right.
It's just hard.
That sounds bad, doesn't it? It really does. It's
Drones that are flying around New Jersey.
oh, drones that are flying around New Jersey.
For millions of dollars in kickbacks. Her son.
Sorry, bro. Sorry. I was looking for an next Ted bet, but
This is the coolest innovation of our lifetime. The world's first.
Why did you hire her without checking her credentials?
oh bullshit. He's in danger, danger, danger. Don't talk to strangers. Oh.
France is scrambling.
Ah, shit. Well, let's we'll miss some shots here and die if we don't play here. Let's we ain't got no torpedoes up on this boat, so
Ship is on fire. Problem solved, sir. The ship is on fire. Enemy severely damaged.
Enemy cruiser sunk.
Verifying the order. Cover the retreat of our transport ships.
That ain't good. That ain't good at all.
Autopilot mode enabled.
Come on, bro. Best be going quick. Oh, we're dead there, Alejandro. I already see it coming. Come on, man. 12 to 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Give me. Okay. Oh, Lord. Come on, bro. Need to get behind that.
Torpedoes to port.
Destination reached. Autopilot mode disabled.
Bros. I mean, shoot. That's still a good, pretty good, decent. Well, we missed 2 of them, but yeah, whatever, you know. Got another container. Collect. I don't know. Let's see here, dudes. What? Multiple dead in Wisconsin?
Let me bring in NBC's Maura Barrett, also joining us, retired ATF Special Agent in Charge and MSNBC terrorism contributor Jim Kavanaugh, and former Secret Service Special Agent and MSNBC law enforcement analyst Evie Pompouras. Evie, I know that the folks at the Secret Service do work with the Department of Education for far too long, but necessarily school shootings and how to deal with them have been an all hands on deck for law enforcement kind of situation. We heard from the police chief that they train just about quarterly to do something like this. Just 2 weeks ago, commanders had another training. Tell me what, as a professional, you heard that was important in that press conference just now.
So they gave us a lot of information, although there was some information they didn't share. And historically, U.S. Secret Service has worked with the Department of Education. One of the things that they strive to do is to prevent these. The Department of Education has gone to the U.S. Secret Service and historically in the past and said, can you help us identify these individuals beforehand? Is there a way to prevent these things? Are there any common factors? And over the years, the U.S. Secret Service has done analysis on these individuals of what to look for. Now, a couple of things that were discussed in this briefing that were brought up. The police did advise that they found the suspect, it sounds like from what he said, already deceased. So that tends to fall in line with what we often see in scenarios like this, where the shooter may die of self-inflicted gun wounds. So that is a possibility here that we're seeing. It does tend to happen in some of these situations. If they're either not faced with police may find them. You have to also keep in mind that these shootings happen very, very quickly, within seconds or minutes. So we're looking at 5 individuals. They're not telling us exactly who. You are looking at a school K through 12. It was brought up if there were metal detectors. You know, a lot of schools don't have metal detectors, and there is also a little bit of that psychological effect of, is it good to have metal detectors in school? There's going to be a lot of psychological trauma for the students post this event. You have to understand too, it's not just the shooting itself, but it's the trauma and the psychological aftermath that the students go through. They're doing now up to 3 clearings. So they did their first clearing going through the school. You have to think about that process, and it's quite traumatic for the students. You know, how do they know it's police? How do they know it's safe? What should they be doing? And then you're having a second clearing, and now they're looking at a third clearing. And that's another interesting thing, because he said that they're doing a sweep of the area for explosives. So they want to know, did the shooter have any explosives? Is there anything in their vehicle? Are you going to go to the shooter's home to see if there are any devices in the home? Another thing that they did let us know is that it is a juvenile and that it is likely a student from the school. So now that begs the question, why? Were there motives? Did this student articulate in advance, tell anybody in advance, post it or share it? And one common thing we do see is that before we have a shooter engage in a scenario like this, they often share it with somebody in some way, shape, or form. They have put it out there. So that will be another thing to look for in this scenario.
We do know, Jim, that they'll be talking to family and friends of the suspected shooter, who again is deceased, a self-inflicted gunshot wound, because, at least according to police, the police did not fire a weapon there. Certainly they'll do analysis of any computers and any social media sites that he may have had. But on scene right now, Jim, and we heard the police chief saying that we are going to work hard to find out what happened. What are they doing on scene toward that end right now?
Well, they'll do a normal forensic crime scene examination, which is, the medical examiner looking at the bodies. They're going to have to recover any projectiles that are in the bodies at the medical examiner's autopsy. They're going to, determine how many rounds were fired. They're going to photograph the victims, the placement of all the bodies, the placement of the killer. Then they're going to try to determine, how he got in or she got in, and then walk the whole thing back into what we call, Chris, a psychological autopsy of the killer. In other words, going back 90 days, even 6 months, or even more, depending on what they're finding, to what's in the mind of the killer. Because what you see in these cases so often is a suicidal ideation, and you see here it ends with a suicide. So it's a suicide and homicide together, and the person goes wanting to kill themselves, but they want to exact their revenge or send their message or get noted or become infamous while they're doing it. And there's signs that leak out. I mean, on 77% of the shooters, we know from the FBI study that leakage before the event happens. They tell friends, they post it on the web. Others hear of their intentions, or they say, I want to shoot up a school, or I'm going to get even with these people, or whatever. And of course, you have a juvenile and you have firearms involved. So ATF special agents are on site, as they are at all these things. They'll be doing an urgent trace of the weapon. But in half of the shootings that involve children like this, the weapon comes right from the home. It's the parent's weapon, or even a grandparent's weapon, or sometimes even the child's weapon that's been given to them as a gift. And they just take the weapon home and come to school and create all this horror. So, it's the same lesson we don't learn over and over. Guns aren't secured in the home from juveniles who have, emotions that they are not fully grown. They're not fully developed in their brains. They have all these emotions. It's normal to be emotional as a teenager. We all are teenagers. It's the way it works. But then when they have access to firearms, that are and they're unsupervised, you can get this kind of card. And so it's the same lessons. We just don't want to learn them in America.
Yeah, and we don't know how old the student might be, because this is a full-level school, so it starts at kindergarten, goes through 12th grade. Some of the things that we may be learning, and we should mention, if you
we don't want to learn. I'm pretty sure people want to learn the lesson.
Information officer is expected to brief again. We don't know.
They don't blame it on the ATF.
I understand the school is posting for the first time on its Facebook page.
Yeah, Chris, they just posted a statement asking for prayers, saying prayers requested. Today we had an active shooter incident at ALCS. We're in the midst of following up. We will share more information as we are able. Please pray for our Challenger family. Again, this is a private Christian school serving about 200 families in the East Madison area. It's a 28-acre campus, and as you mentioned, serves all grades. And so this is something that they are obviously processing, as police said that they quickly put up a reunification site for parents and families to be able to immediately come and reunite with their children as they responded. Now, police also said just in a matter of minutes of that very short press conference, it started with one report of loss of life and then got updated in the middle of it. And so we know that 5 people have died, 5 people have been transported to the local hospital with a range of injuries ranging from minor to life-threatening is what we were told. We don't have details on how many of these people are students, teachers. All we do know is that the juvenile that is believed to have been the shooter was found deceased by police in the school. The police chief emphasized that police did not fire any of their own weapons. And I know you were discussing that as well. And so this is something they said is still an active investigation, though they did emphasize they don't believe there's any further threat to this school or any of the public school district locations in the area as well, but they're going to continue to sweep both the school and all of the cars surrounding in the parking lot to make sure that there isn't anything that they might have missed. And in terms of that next update from the Madison PIO, we expect that to be around 2:30 Central, so 3:30 Eastern in the next couple of hours. And so we hope to get more information about the injured, the deceased, but they said they can't share any more information until they get more information to the families of those that have been affected, Chris.
Enemy cruiser destroyed.
guess.
Spotter airborne.
Yeah.
Problem solved, sir.
Yeah, I think that he was treated pretty unfairly. Now, I haven't seen the gravity of it all, but it seems, like being upgraded in an airplane many years ago. I know probably everybody here has been upgraded. They see you're all stars, and they say, I want to upgrade that person from NBC. I'm going to upgrade him. And that would mean you'll spend the rest of your life in prison. I don't know. Somehow, I would think, I'd have to see it because I don't know the facts. I think he was treated. It's very interesting. When he essentially went against what was happening with the migrants coming in, and he made some pretty strong statements like, "This is not sustainable." I said, "You know what? He'll be indicted soon." And I said it not as a prediction, a little bit lightheartedly, but I said it. I said he's going to be indicted, and a few months later, he got indicted. So yeah, I would certainly look at it.
Mr. President, can I ask you a question about the drones?
Well, we have 5,000 troops along the border, and I asked a couple of generals, so we have an army of 250,000 in Syria, and you have an army of 400,000. They have many more people than that. Turkey is a major force, by the way. Erdogan is somebody I got along with great, but he has a major military force, and his has not been worn out with war. It hasn't been worn out with all of the other. He's built a very strong, powerful army. And so we have 5,000 soldiers.
Oh, that's not good.
A million-person army and a 250,000-person army. And I asked the general, what do you think of that situation? He said, they'll be wiped out immediately. And I moved to God and I took a lot of heat. And you know what? Nothing. I saved a lot of lives. Now we have 900. They put some back. But 900...
Torpedoes astern.
If you're talking about two, now one of the sides has been essentially wiped out, but nobody knows who the other side is. But I do. You know who it is? Turkey. Okay, Turkey's the one behind it. He's a very smart guy. They've wanted it for thousands of years, and he got it. And those people that went in are controlled by Turkey. And that's okay. It's another way to fight. But no, I don't think that I want to have our soldiers killed. But I don't think that will happen now anyway because
Autopilot
the one
mode
side's
enabled.
been decimated.
Mr. President, I want to ask you a question about the drones.
The drones concerned about more unrest in that region, or do you think it will harm?
Well, nobody knows what the final outcome is going to be in the region. Nobody knows who really the final. I believe it's Turkey, and I think Turkey is very smart. He's a very smart guy, and he's very tough. But Turkey did an unfriendly takeover without a lot of lives being lost. I can say that Assad was a butcher. What he did to children. You remember I attacked him with the 58 missiles. Unbelievable missiles coming from ships 700 miles away, and every one of them hit their target. But I did that. That was the red line in the sand. Obama drew it, and then he refused to honor what he did. He said, if anybody goes across the red line, and Assad killed many more children after that, and Obama did nothing, but I did. I hit him with a lot of missiles. In fact, President Xi was sitting here the night he was in that dining room having chocolate cake. Remember the famous chocolate cake? But and that's when I explained what we were doing as the missiles were shot. And it was amazing as to precision because every one of those missiles hit its target from a long distance away. Had President Obama drawn the line and where it meant something, you wouldn't have even had Russia there. But in the end, I never understood why Russia went there. They were not getting very much out of it. But now their time is taken up with Ukraine, and we'd like to get them to stop from Ukraine, and Ukraine stop also. As you know, when I went to the cathedral, which was fantastic, the job that they've done in France, and the job that Macron, Emmanuel did. He did a phenomenal job on the rebuilding of that cathedral. It's magnificent, and they did a great thing. And they had great respect for our country. They treated me, meaning I'm the country. I'm the representative of our country. And we were treated with great respect. And one of the people that came to pay his respects is, as you know, Ukraine, Zelensky. And he would like to have peace. He wants peace. Everyone's being killed. It's the worst carnage that this world has seen since World War II. I've had pictures of fields where bodies are lying on top of bodies. Looks like the old pictures of the Civil War, where just bodies are all over. Just
I know
if you saw
that.
those pictures, you'd feel more strongly about it. It's got to stop. And we're trying to get it to stop. Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna be talking. We'll be talking to President Putin, and we'll be talking to the representatives, Zelensky and representatives from Ukraine. We got to stop it. It's carnage.
What about the fear here at home of the drones?
Thank you. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster. Want to know the truth? They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
Have you been?
Do you have any reason to think they're a threat?
First, on vaccines, do you want RFK Jr. to revoke any vaccines?
No, I want him to come back with a report as to what he thinks. We're going to find out a lot. We're doing two things. We're going to have tremendous cost savings that will come out of this. That's a minimum. And we're also going to have, and I think, very serious discussions about certain things, whether it's pesticides. Europe has pesticides, and yet they have a better mortality rate than we do. They don't use pesticides. In fact, they use it as an excuse not to take our farm product. We spend billions and billions of dollars on pesticides. And something bad's happening. Again, you take a look at autism today versus 20, 25 years ago. It's like not even believable. So we're going to have reports. No, nothing's going to happen very quickly. I think you're going to find that Bobby he's a very rational guy. I found him to be very rational. No, nothing, you're not going to lose the polio vaccine. That's not going to happen. I saw what happened with the polio. I have friends that were very much affected by that. I have friends from many years ago, and they have obviously were still in not such good shape because of it. And many people died. And the moment they took that vaccine, it ended. Dr. Jonas Salk did a great job, so I don't anticipate that at all. But we're going to look into finding why is the autism rate so much higher than it was 20, 25, 30 years ago. I mean, it's 100 times higher. There's something wrong, and we're going to try finding that. We're also going to find out why are we paying more than other countries. And we were in the process of doing that through transparency and other things. We were doing a good job in that first term, and we brought it down. We got the $35, all of the different things. We got, we were the ones that got all of that done. Every one of those things we got it done. I said, I hope I don't, because otherwise somebody's going to take a lot of credit for what we did. But now what happens is we're gonna have a big conversation on price. Why is it that Germany and UK and other countries are paying so much for the same box of medicine made in the same plant? Why is it that we're paying many times more? I know the answer, because our government didn't do what they were supposed to do. And what I put in place was terminated unexpectedly by the Biden administration, and they shouldn't have terminated it. It would have had a huge impact.
And Mr. President, one quick question. On Ukraine, you mentioned that some of the areas are already decimated. Do you believe that Ukraine should cede territory to Russia?
Well, I'm going to let you know that after I have my first meeting. But a lot of that territory, when you look at what's happened to those, I mean, there are cities that there's not a building standing. It's a demolition site. There's not a building standing. So people can't go back to those cities. There's nothing there. It's just rubble. Just like when I knocked down a building in Manhattan, which is actually, this is worse, actually, because we do it step by step. This thing is just got demolished. And by the way, in those buildings are many people. Many people were in those buildings. You know, when they said the number in Ukraine is going to be a much higher number of deaths, it's going to be a much higher number than you're hearing. You know, they're big buildings. That's what I did very well. And these are very long buildings. They're 15 to 20 stories high. They're massive buildings. I was surprised at how big. And they're flattened like a pancake. 1 or 2 bombs hit them and they just collapsed. And they'd say nobody was hurt. Well, nobody knows who was in those buildings. There were a lot of people in those buildings. They're going to find that when they start doing the removal. Many more people are being killed in the Ukraine war with Russia than is being reported, and that includes soldiers. The soldiers are being, it's a carnage that we haven't seen since the Second World War. It's got to be stopped. And I'm doing my best to stop it. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Had a meeting with Mrs. Abe yesterday, but Japanese Prime
Mrs.
Minister,
Abe.
Mrs. Abe, and Japanese Prime Minister Ishida is hoping to have a meeting anytime soon.
I will do that. In fact, I sent him a memento. I sent him a book, the Prime Minister. But Mrs. Abe was very close with our First Lady, with Melania, and she loved Melania's book. And she called.
All righty, bros.